start with the second poem of our syllabus, the Laburnum Top. And this poem has been written by Ted Hughes. And Ted Hughes he was an English poet, translator, and a children's writer as well. And critics, they have frequently ranked him as one of the best poets of his generation, and also one of the 20th century's greatest writer. And he was also appointed as the poet laureate in the year 1984, and he held that office till his death. Okay, so 12, not 7, but 12. Okay, so in this particular poem, he is basically talking about a beautiful laburnum tree, and the relationship between the laburnum tree and also a goldfinch bird. And I've written certain things for you on the board. If I switch the camera, will you be able to see it? Just tell me if you're able to see it. See, if you look at the board, this poem has been written by Ted Hughes, and we have discussed about the poet. And in this particular poem, the poet talks about a theme. And what is that theme? He has used the laburnum tree and goldfinch as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. So we will discuss about it. And then he has used various literary devices, out of which many you have done earlier, but some of the literary devices are new for you. For example, assonance, enjambment, alliteration you've already done. You know what a metaphor is, you know what a simile is, and you also must be knowing what onomatopoeia is. So we would discuss all these literary devices, we would discuss the theme, and we would also discuss the poem in detail. Okay, have you ever heard of this tree, laburnum tree? Do you know what kind of a tree is it? Have you
Yes,
seen?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what kind of a tree is it then, if you've heard of it?
Ma short tree with hanging branches, yellow flowers and poisonous
Yes, it's already
seeds.
written. The meaning is given in the glossary. It's a
Yes,
short tree
ma'am.
with hanging branches. So it's a beautiful tree, and if it is, and it is also a very commonly found tree, and it has hanging branches. It has beautiful yellow colored flowers and poisonous trees. And in your mother tongue in Hindi, it is called Amal Tas ka ped. Okay, so this poem is of laburnum, not just laburnum tree, but the relationship between that tree and a beautiful singing bird, that is goldfinch. Goldfinch का नाम सुना है आपने कभी? What is goldfinch? What is
Bird.
goldfinch? Bird तो है.
Ma'am, it's a
It is
bird.
Ma'am,
it's
it's
a
a bird
small
with
thing.
yellow wings.
Yes, it's a bird with yellow wings, and it is a small singing bird, and it is also called as wild canary. Okay, and the male of this particular species of the bird, it has black markings across the face and across the wings and across the tail as well. Okay,
Yes.
so the poet says the laburnum top is silent, quite still. Can anyone just recite the poem? Anybody from the class? Yes.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Harsimran.
The Laburnum taught Ted Hughes. The
Ted Hughes. Okay.
Laburnum top
The, हाँ जी, ठीक है, बोलो.
The Lebanon top is silent, quite still, in the afternoon yellow September sunlight. A few leaves yellowing, all its seeds pollen, till the golden finch comes with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startment at the branch end, then, sleek as a lizard, and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up, of chittering and tremor of wings and trillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. She strokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her buried face identity mask. Then, with delicate whistle chirrup whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the Lebanon subsides to empty.
Okay. So he says the beginning of the poem, it starts with the laburnum top is silent. The top of the tree, the topmost branches, the bushes where the bird has most probably made her nest, that is silent. Okay, and that is quite still. And still again means what? What do you mean by still? What is
Ma'am,
still?
quiet and not making any sound.
Yes, no movement at all. So
Ma'am,
because
motionless.
nobody, motionless, because nobody is there, and even the leaves are not moving. And in the afternoon, yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing. And when do the leaves turn yellow? In which season?
Fall.
Autumn season.
Yes,
Autumn.
during the fall, yes, in the autumn season, and when all the seeds of this of the flowers they have fallen, and in the afternoon, yellow. It is the month of September. So, which is the color which is most prominent in the first three lines?
Yellow.
What is the color? Yellow.
Yellow.
And
Yellow.
mm, yes, yellow is the color which is most prominent, and in the first three lines, and you would understand about its significance soon. Why is has the poet used this color yellow? The entire place is covered with yellow sunlight. There is no movement. The leaves have turned. RAV is joining now. The leaves have turned yellow. It is the autumn season. The leaves are drying. The seeds are falling. And yellow. Yellow is symbolic of something. Yellow is symbolic of, this color is symbolic of silence. This color is also symbolic of, it also symbolizes death. So there is death like silence in towards the beginning of the poem. There is death like silence in the laburnum tree at the laburnum top. Okay, and this silence remains till the goldfinch comes. So goldfinch, as we've discussed already, it is a small bird, singing bird. Bird arrives, and then what happens? Till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup. What do you mean by twitching? What is twitching? Have you ever heard of
Ma'am,
this word, twitching?
ma'am, movement. Small movement.
Small?
Movement.
Yes, small movement which is involuntary. So it makes some kind of a movement, but that movement is involuntary with a twitching chirrup. And what is chirrup? Chirrup, what is
Ma'am,
chirruping?
singing of the bird.
Singing, the noise that a bird creates. So chirrup is an onomatopoeic word. What is onomatopoeia? Have you ever heard of this poetic device, onomatopoeia? If I say chirrup is onomatopoeic word, so what is onomatopoeia? Kabhi suna hai aapne? Have you ever heard of this literary device, onomatopoeia?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Never heard of it?
maybe
Yes,
it has sound attached to it.
yes,
Ma'am, it
yes, very
sounds
good.
familiar.
It is a sound word. For example, you have hiss of the snake. For example, you have buzz of the bees. Okay, so it's a sound word. जो sound वो represent करता है, वही आप लिखते हो. Okay, for example,
Okay, ma'am.
bees buzz, and the snakes hiss, and similarly the chirrup of the birds. So till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup, and then the moment the bird enters, there is suddenness, there is startlement. It sits on the tree, and if there is movement all around, there is amazement. You understand the meaning of startlement? Everything comes to life. There is suddenness at the branch, it sits at a branch end. Then sleek as a lizard. It has a very smooth. The bird has a very smooth movement. Maybe because, as we've already discussed, there is a nest inside the tree, and it doesn't want any of the predators to uh, know. So that is why it moves very smoothly and like a lizard. Which poetic device has been used here? Then sleek as a lizard. Please raise your hands. Nobody's
Ma'am,
going to
may
speak
I?
like this.
May I?
Somebody else also. Yeah, Hassan, just wait. Just wait. Let the others also raise their hands. And it's a very simple poetic device. Then
Ma'am,
sleek as a lizard. Um, Apart from Akarshita and Hassan, I want somebody else to respond.
Ma'am, may
Yes.
I?
Who's this? Aryan,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Aryan. Bolo, bolo.
Ma'am, it's metaphor.
It is not a metaphor, Aryan. Yashneet Kaur. Yashneet. Yashneet.
Hi.
Yash.
Ma'am, sorry, not
Parabjot.
metaphor, it's simile.
Yes, it's similar. It is a direct comparison wherein we have used the word as. So whenever you make a direct comparison and you use the words um, like or as, then the poetic device that is used is simile. So in simile, the comparison is not direct. In metaphor, the comparison is not direct, but it is implied. It is understood, but no words like or as are used. So whenever we use words like or as, and we make a direct comparison between two things, then the poetic device uses simile and not metaphor. So sleek as a lizard. Okay, it has very sleek, it has very smooth movement, and but it is alert, Why is it alert? Because of the fear of the predators around. And abruptly, very smartly and very swiftly, very suddenly, she enters the thickness. Where does the bird enter? The thickness. What is thickness? What is thickness,
Ma'am,
Rishi?
maybe there might be a lot of leaves at that branch.
Yes, at that particular branch, there are lots of bushes and branches where the people keep on calling in. So where the nest most probably is, and then what happens? She enters the thickness, and a machine starts up. And what kind of a machine does start here? Can you just think of machines? The moment she enters the tree, the branch, the thickness, a machine starts up. What does the poet mean by this?
Ma'am, the
Ma'am,
What is
chirping of birds and the movement of the feathers.
yes? Yeah, the movement of the feathers, the chirping of the birds, the chirping, everything starts up, and a machine starts up of machine of what? Of chitterings. Chitterings is again which what poetic device has been used here in chitterings? What is the poetic? People keep on. If I
ma'am,
just turn off
onomatopoeia.
my yes, again in chitterings it is onomatopoeia. Okay, in chitterings the poetic device that has been used is onomatopoeia, and there is tremor of wings. What do you mean by tremor of wings? What is tremor?
Ma'am,
Tremor of
flapping of things.
I'm shaking.
flapping, fluttering. Yes, shaking, flapping, fluttering of wings and trillings. So what is trilling? Have you ever heard of this term? Trilling. What is trilling?
To produce a rapid and continuous sound.
Rapid and continuous sounds like singing quickly, singing quickly. Okay, so the birds are singing, they're chirping, there is a lot of chittering, there is tremor of wings, everything comes to life. The tree which was just like it was as if it was dead. It now comes to life with the coming of the bird. The whole tree trembles and thrills. So the tree shakes violently, and there is a lot of excitement in the tree. It is the engine of her family. What is the engine of her family, Bache? What is the engine?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, the tree.
Yes, Mehak Kaur. What is the
Ma'am,
engine of a family? The bird, the goldfinch. It is the engine of a family. So she has been compared to the engine, and because without an engine, a machine cannot work properly. So it is the most important part of a family. And here the poetic device uses metaphor. The indirect comparison has been compared. The indirect comparison has been there between the bird and the engine. So metaphor is there, and it is the engine of her family. She stocks it full. She adds fuel to her family. She feeds them. Stoking is adding fuel, but how is she adding fuel? She's feeding her chicks. So she feeds them, she supplies energy to them, and that is why she's compared to the engine of her family. It stocks it full and then just flirts out. Flirts out means and she just moves away rapidly towards the end of a branch, showing her barred face identity mask. Barred face identity mask का मतलब क्या है यहाँ पे?
Ma'am,
As if
marked
she's wearing a
face.
kind of yes, she has stripes on her face, and she has marks on her face, and it appears as if she's wearing a mask. And also because the sunlight is sifting through the leaves and all, so shadow is falling on her face, so it looks as if she's got a barred face, and that is her identity mask. Then, with eerie, delicate whistle, chirrup, whisperings. So, what is whistle, chirrup, whisperings again? Onomatopoeia. And eerie means what? What is eerie?
Strange
ma'am,
and
what's
Ma'am,
beautiful.
strange?
mysterious.
Very
Wonderful.
mysterious, something which is frightful, also something which is fearful, also something which is strange. So, in a very strange way, and but in a very delicate way, she moves away. And after a lot of noise has been created there, she just launches away. She just moves away towards the infinite. And here, infinite refers to the
Open sky.
what? Yes,
Right.
it refers to the open sky. And the laburnum subsides to empty. Laburnum turns again how it was in the beginning. It again becomes silent. So, as far as various poetic devices that have been used in the poem, I told you one is the very first one was assonance. You know what alliteration is? What is alliteration? What is alliteration?
Ma'am, repetition of the first word.
Repetition of the consonant sounds in two consecutive words that are placed together in close proximity to each other in a sentence. Then assonance is repetition of vowel sounds. If vowel sounds are repeated again and again in a sequence of words that are placed together, then that poetic device is known as assonance. So if you look at the lines, if you look at the first line, the laburnum top is silent, quite still, which is the vowel that is repeated again and again. Can you see any vowel that is repeated here again and again? I. Okay, it is there in is, then in silent, then in quiet, then in still also. So there is assonance in the first line, and you can also say there is consonance in silent and still. It can be alliteration also, but alliteration normally is when you have the same consonant sound which is in words which are placed very next to each other. ठीक है, जैसे आपका September sunlight है, उसमें कौन सा poetic device होगा बच्चे?
Alliteration.
Alliteration. So alliteration and consonants are more or less the same poetic devices. First line में आपका assonance भी है, पर first line में आपका consonance भी है, silent और still में. Second line में आपका क्या है? अभी बताया हमने, अभी discuss किया है. What is the poetic device used in the second line? It is alliteration. Alliteration. Okay. A few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. Okay, and then till the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup. Chirrup is again onomatopoeia. A suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. Then sleek as a lizard, and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up. Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings, the whole tree trembles and thrills. If you look at these three lines, she enters the thickness and a machine starts up. Of chitterings and tremor of wings and trillings, the whole tree trembles and thrills. If you look at these lines, there is no punctuation mark towards the end of the line. अगर आप line के end में देखो, तो उसमें कोई भी punctuation mark आपको नजर नहीं आएगा. So that kind of a literary device in which you see there are no punctuation marks used towards the end of the line, that literary device is known as enjambment. ठीक है, enjambment बोलते हैं उसको. मैंने आपको बोर्ड पे दिखाया था, and it is spelled as ENGAJAMBMENT, enjambment. ठीक है, जहाँ पे आपकी line continuously चलेगी without any punctuation mark towards the end of the line. Okay, that is enjambment. We've done assonance, we've done alliteration, we have done onomatopoeia, then we've done enjambment. Okay, the whole tree trembles and thrills. यहाँ पे कौन सा poetic device है?
Personification.
Yes, it is personification and alliteration, both the poetic devices. Personification is also there. Tree is trembling, and otherwise trees don't tremble. So if the word tremble is used for tree, then that means it is personification. And then we have alliteration also in tree trembles. Then it is the engine of her family. We've done engine of the family, it's metaphor. She strokes it full and flirts out to a branch end. Again, we have she strokes and full flirts. The poetic device is alliteration, showing her barred face identity mask. Okay, the barred face identity mask here is a poetic device which is transferred. You can write it down and you can just research it. We'll discuss it the next time. There was network issue. Okay, so the next time we meet, we'll discuss it. This poetic device is known as transferred epithet. It's called Liklo, and we will discuss it the next time we meet. You just research about this poetic device, transferred epithet. So I'm telling you, we have a poetic device, transferred epithet, used in the line barred face identity mask. Transferred epithet लिखो इसको. Have we discussed it earlier also? Discuss किया हमने
Yes,
पहले?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We have discussed it. So you have to tell me how this particular poetic device applies here. Okay, transferred epithet. Okay, and then it says then with eerie, delicate whistle, chirrup, whisperings. Whistle, chirrup, whisperings. Again, we have alliteration. The w sound. आपने sound देखना, आपने सिर्फ W नहीं देखना बेटा यहाँ पे. WH देखोगे आप. The w sound is repeated again. Okay, whistle, chirrup in whisperings. So it is alliteration. She launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum again subsides to empty. It again becomes silent. Got it? So what has the poet done in this particular poem? he has used the laburnum tree and he has used the goldfinch as a symbol of life and as a symbol of its fluctuations. And he describes how the visit of the goldfinch changes the laburnum tree entirely. So we have three different stages. In the beginning, it is silent. Then, with the coming of the bird, the entire the machine starts, and there is trembling. There is there is chirruping. There is chirping. Then there is tremor of wings. Everything comes to life, and the goldfinch actually transforms the entire tree, and it makes it come alive. It brings it to life, and what does the laburnum tree symbolize here? It here symbolizes the pattern of our life in general. In general, our life sometimes appears to be dull. It sometimes appears to be inanimate. It appears to be boring. So, what is it that breaks the pattern and makes that pattern lively in this poem? What is it that breaks the pattern and
The
makes it
bird.
lively? The bird,
Goldfinch.
goldfinch, yes, goldfinch. So here, what is the poet trying to say? He's trying to say that it is the attitude of the person towards life that makes it meaningful and that makes it worth living. Okay, so you can just go through this particular poem, and if there's any line, any word that you have not followed, you can ask me. And I still have many students who have not submitted their previous work of the chapter, The Address. Yes. Any word, any line that you have not followed, you can ask me.
Ma'am,
Yes, Shubhangi.
ma'am, can you please repeat assonance?
Assonance is repetition of vowel sounds A, E, I, O, U, which are placed in words that are placed next to each other. Okay? For example, if you look at the first line, we say the laburnum top is silent, quiet, still. अब वो शुरू में नहीं होगा, जरूरी नहीं है बेटा कि beginning of the word में होगा. But if you look at this particular line, you will see that the vowel I is repeated again and again. ठीक है? Is silent, quiet, still. सब में कौन सा letter common है? I. ठीक है? So there is repetition of this. So that is why it is what? It is assonance. Okay? And consonants and alliteration is one and the same thing. Repetition of consonant sounds. And onomatopoeia is sound word. Then we have enjambment, wherein towards the end of the line we don't have any punctuation mark and the line just continues. And also in this particular poem, the poet has not used any particular rhyme scheme, and therefore it is written in free verse. When no set rhyme scheme is there, so we say that poem is in free verse. Okay, and then there is metaphor, then there is personification, then there is simile. So all these poetic devices have been used here in this poem. Got it? Anything else?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Mehak Kaur.
Ma'am, I was going through a site where this line showing her barred face identity mask.
Yes,
This
yes.
line was given under metaphor. That metaphor is being used here, and we also know
How?
that transferred epithet is used. So I'm not able to understand how metaphor is used.
She's showing her barred face identity mask. Maybe because her face has been compared to some kind of a mask. So that ways you can say that it's a metaphor. And transferred epithet. What is transferred epithet? आपको मैंने समझाया होगा transferred epithet क्या है,
Ma'am,
क्या होता है?
yes, when we use an adverb for
No,
describing
no,
some
not an
noun.
adverb, but an adjective. तभी मैंने आपको बोला आप इसकी research करके आना, ठीक है? So just research about this particular poetic device, not an adverb, but an adjective. And an adjective is used with a noun, but the noun with which it is used, it doesn't qualify that noun, but it describes something else. So ये आप पढ़ के आओगे that whether it is an example of transferred epithet or not, and if it is, how. Okay?
Okay,
Or
ma'am.
कुछ. So it's the laburnum tree is also known as the gold chain tree, and if you ask in your local language, it is called amaltas kape, and the goldfinch is called wild canary. Anything else? Have you followed this line? It is the engine of a family. How is she the engine of a family? How is the goldfinch engine of a family? Yes, Akarshita, how is she an engine of a family?
Ma'am, here the bird has been described as the engine of the family because she is the one who brings the food for her little children, for the birds, and she is the one who brings the life in that lifeless tree. So it can be said
Yes.
that she is the engine of the family because without an engine, anything cannot work. A machine cannot
A
work.
machine doesn't work. Okay, fine,
Yes.
good. So, and the poetic device used here is metaphor. Okay, and so I think it's not that difficult, the poem. So that is all about this particular poem, and we'll discuss the question answers most probably on Monday. And you have to complete your work, the previous work, and you have to send it to me if you have not sent it by now. So you need to send your entire work, the previous work, whatever work is left. If you've not sent it by now, you need to do it as early as possible, because I've told you many times and repeatedly I've warned you that your internal assessment is going to be affected if you don't submit your work in time. Okay, then let's move on to your attendance. Today is 17. Nakul Bish, Arindat,
Present.
Present.